Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Outreach with Reggie. This is Reggie Holloway, and thank you for coming back. For the ones who came back and for the ones who are new here, thank you for tuning into the channel. Now, today's episode or today's video is going to be a bit different. I'm in the same attire because I recorded two videos in the same day. Playing a little bit of the catch-up game, but all is well. Today is going to be an episode where we highlight the voices of the youth, right? Oftentimes we talk about the youth are the future. I remember growing up and they said that there was an expression by Kanye. He said, "Listen to the kids," or we were always told in elementary school, middle school, "Hey, you guys are the future. The youth are the future," and that's very much true. But I want to welcome this into the atmosphere. The youth aren't the future anymore. No, they're not. They're the right now. They are the right now in this current moment, in this current space, leading a charge. And it's important that you listen to them. It's important that you listen to them. And in this episode, it's about a power shift, right? Shifting the narrative that you have to be this grand person that has eons of wisdom due to lived experience, that has life experience, right? They say you become older, you become wiser. Now we see that youth as young as teenagers, even children, are making grand steps towards effective change nationally, domestically, internationally, even within their own communities. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. Yeah, stay tuned. From activism in education to entrepreneurship and community building, young people are at the forefront of change. To explore this, I'm going to be on Spotify. I put it where we have two great guests. We have the founder of for Leaders of Tomorrow Books, where she is a founder who's created books that highlight representation. And you can find a lot more of this information on Spotify. And I'm going to put the description below. And I'm going to tag their social media. But Leaders of Tomorrow Books is a platform that empowers youth through storytelling and education. Along with that, I am greeted by Monica Pantoja of the Insuro Foundation, an organization that cultivates youth leadership and mentorship and advocacy, along with education and wraparound support. But that will be on Spotify and on all platforms where you listen to all of your podcasts. But to get back to the message of today, why youth leadership matters. Why are the youth the now instead of the future? Because when adults say youth are the future, it can be unintentionally sidelining the voices of the youth leaders who are making the changes that are necessary right now, that are already creating impact. Gen Z, right? The famous term Gen Z is a group of the youth that were born between 1997 and 2012. And it's connected, informed, and fearless. And I mean that in all of it. They're fearless. They use social media and grassroots organizations to fight for justice, equity, and climate action, demanding accountability today. Much more than you can ever fathom. But I'll go into that very soon. Actually, right now. I have my notes in front of me, so I'm going to highlight some youth that have been making those changes. Greta Thunberg, the climate activist who started global school strikes and has pushed government to take urgent climate action. Amanda Gorman, the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history whose powerful words inspire hope and justice. Malala Yousafzai, and I apologize if I'm butchering the name. It's not my intention. Who continues to champion girls' education worldwide despite incredible adversity. Emma Gonzalez, who became a leading voice for gun control after surviving Parkland school shooting. And many others who have organized and are innovating and making their communities better every single day. Because there's millions of them. Millions of them that are go highlighted and seen. As many of those that are your neighbors, that are in your community, that are at your schools, or your best friends, or those who are least considered. But with that being said, I'll go into my next topic. How can we support those youth leaders? What does that even look like? It's important that you listen. As I talked about in my last video, be intentional. Be present. When the youth are listening, let's get away from going bar for bar, or tick, as they say, or tick for tack when it comes from my generation, your generation. Open the discussion pool to pull from generations above and below. Because there's a lot of changes needed. And courage is the greatest indicator to move forward. Courage. How courageous are you? Building those steps. Being innovative. If you can lend a hand, lend a hand. Because the worst thing you can do is kill a dream. I could if I would. If you can, then do. Offer mentorship and resources to help them grow. Support organizations like the Insuro Foundation and Leaders of Tomorrow Books and many of your nonprofits that you know. Be a volunteer. Be a conduit of change. Be a conductor of change. Because it's important. It's imperative that you do. But overall, create a space for young people to be listened to and to be heard. Because it's important. And like I said, many times, oftentimes it doesn't take, for the youth that are listening, it does not take a grand amount of followers. I promise you, it doesn't. It does not take a big stage. It doesn't take a podium with thousands of people in an arena or a crowd. Right? Take steps. If you have a friend, family member, or even yourself that says, hey, I want to make something change. I want to be a spark. Let's go to a shelter one day. Go to a shelter. Help out. Even if it means cleaning up the house one day, doing some chores. And then going out and serving, helping out, feeding the homeless. Going to church. Or being helpful in school. Asking the teacher, hey, I want to help you pass out the homework. I want to pass out the class week today. Anything and everything like that helps be a change regarding the youth. When you see a youth on the street, or you see a youth in these actions or doing these things, be slow to judge. Be curious. Be interested. Ask questions. But stay informed. Stay informed. And follow up. And if you can offer anything, in that matter. Offer. But because the youth matter. The youth matter. The youth. Funny enough, I often say this is not a political, I promise it's not a political channel. It's more of a social and community change. But a lot of the leaders of today, that being in nationally within the US or wherever you're watching, a lot of those leaders are not of this generation. Or they may not carry your values, your understanding, your stance on a lot of stuff, but be the conduit of that change. Listen. And that's okay, because you don't need a title. You don't need a title for these things. It's youth that are saying, hey, I see something, I'm saying something, I'm doing it. And they're going against the grain. And as they do, get out of your box and welcome in a mindset that even if you may not understand, or you may not know, but attempt to understand and welcome the experience into it. So, I thank you for listening or watching Outreach with Reggie. Truly. I know this was a very short episode, but I wanted to say this because there's a lot of things going on right now. The bandwidth, right, of where we are within, not even as a community, country, or anything like that, but mainly who are we in the spaces that we go to. I talk about presence a lot because it matters. And I talk about how you don't need to be anything grand. But as long as you show up and promise to show up and be attentive, when you do, I promise it's going to be okay. And when you enter, when you look as a teachers or parents, when you go, when you have children, if you have children, right, when you come across a young person, be slow to judge. Be curious. Ask. Not so much if they're not doing anything, just ask, hey. Pick their brain about what their take is on the world. Don't pry. And if they're receptive to you, open the door for conversation. And if you have advice, lend it. And if you don't, it's okay, but you walk away with a different perspective. But with that being said, remember, the next generation isn't just coming, isn't just walking vicarious through life. They're here. They're here, so let's stand with them. Let's stand with them, pushing for change in the communities that are needed. Till then, my name is Reggie Holloway. I thank you for your time. Love you.